Now, so my son, he's 2 years old. Hopefully, he wrestles. Give me some advice as a parent, and possibly if I'm ever sitting in his corner, or even just if I'm being a parent while he wrestles.
Right. Well, my son's a sophomore,
Mm-hmm.
and so he started wrestling, I think, at like 4 years old, and I just take him to tournaments and practices and
Mm-hmm.
try to just engulf him with being around the sport as much as possible, and then like being around those good people, and letting him kind of at his own pace determine like when he wants to get on the mat and then how much and all that kind of stuff. And then like when he made the decision of, hey, this is something I want to do. It's a tough sport. I remember like being in car rides home and him being like in a 4-person group and having a really tough practice. And I remember one time he was in the back seat and he was probably like 8 years old, and he said, "Dad," he said, "Can I ask you a question?" And I was like, "Sure." And he goes, "Can you remind me what's fun about wrestling?" Because there was nothing fun that happened for that last hour before that. And then I started talking to him about, again, all the trips that we get to go on, staying at hotels, being around people, being around older kids, letting those kids have influences on his life, and the camaraderie, the coaches, and then again, like bringing it back to, well, there is fun, and it's not always going to be fun. Again, it's like that parallel to life.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes you're whipping life's butt, and sometimes life's butt's whipping you.
Right.
And so again, I would keep your son apprised of that. Of that you're going to have tough days, and you're going to have good days, and you want to have a balance between that. And what I was lucky with my son is he has a good personality for wrestling, in that he doesn't get too high on his wins and doesn't get too low on his losses, and he doesn't really define himself by the sport. So I think if you can do that, and you can keep preaching those things of, hey, wrestling doesn't define you, it's just something that you do, and be more cognizant of who he is as a person, then it makes it much more satisfying as a dad. As my son got older, I think, probably every mistake a wrestling dad could make, I've probably made it at some point. And I think that once your child falls in love with the sport, again, just focusing on putting him in as many positions to be successful as possible, and kind of just then staying out of his way. So I was really lucky. I've got a lot of good people that are around him. And then like even this past year, he wrestled at the Olympic Training Center, wrestled at junior duels, went to Fargo, and I put him in all those positions for him to go out there and succeed, financially, making sure he could get there, that type of thing. But then I was dad, and it was up to him. And then knowing those coaches and other individuals he's around, then it's really him, And I always tell him, like, I had my career, and now, I'm coaching, and I coached a long time before you were here, and I'll probably continue to coach for a long time after you're gone. And so really, this is just really, really your thing, and you get to dictate where it goes. So I think that if you have that same mantra with your son of, hey, this is you, you wrestled, you've been around wrestling, and so he really gets to develop and decide, where he wants to be and what he wants to do with the sport. And if you understand that, and you have that kind of a agreement between the two of you, then it really doesn't matter what he does and where he goes with it, as long as he's learning those life lessons. And the goal is always, I'll try to put you in the position, and then it's your job to go out there and do the best you can. And if you do that, then we're all happy and satisfied.
Life is good.
Yep, definitely.
Appreciate it, Jason.
Okay, thanks, Joe.